Welcome to another Tactics Talk. Sam, we are facing Portsmouth on Saturday after the international break. We've had a lot of players out on international break, which obviously a few people have scored, which is very unlikely for lesser players because we barely can score a goal. But we did get a win against Swansea, 3-1. We left it late, but we did win. Going into this game then, Sam, what's your thoughts on this? Because, again, I think the international break was a good timing for us after that win to try and recuperate and make sure we're ready for the next few games before the next international break.
Well, I think we've settled into the season now. Whether we get better or we get worse, we stay the same, who knows? That's for Marty to decide. Really, I think now the penny kind of lies with him. He should know who's good and who's not and who deserves to be in the team and who doesn't, albeit a striker, I'm sure is going to be an interesting debate today. What I would like us to see, I guess, going into this game would be a little bit more aggression. You know, Marty's talked about he wants to go for that 2-0, 3-0 lead in games rather than, you know, sitting back and almost, you know, letting them a bit Enzo stylish, which is we get a 1-0 lead and potentially a 2-0 lead and kind of hold on and, you know, we just keep playing our same game. I think that's cost us quite a few times this season, you know, where we're playing our same game and we're not really doing anything dangerous in attack. So for me, I think my biggest thing, regardless of who plays, is I want to see us go out there and be aggressive against Portsmouth because they're not amazing. You know, they've done okay, if had an okay start. But I mean, you have to remind me where they are in the table.
14.
Yeah, so they're not doing bad for a newly promoted team. But again, considering they're a League One side last season and we're Premier League, we should have the better calibre of players to beat them.
Yeah, and obviously we've got the time in the last few weeks to prepare players who haven't been on international break, the likes of Carranza and obviously I know Jordan James has gone out with Wales and whatnot, but they all should be coming back fully fit. And like I said, going into these ones now after the international break, I think that we've not had the worst start to the season. I think we've only had one loss. Yes, we've had a few draws, but in some of them draws, I think you could go out and say that we probably could have won in some of them. We could have lost them, but I think I think we've got better as the season's gone on.
Yeah, I think we've looked fairly the same throughout the whole season. I think we've had some good points and bad performances. I think the draws, apart from, I can't remember which team, was it Wednesday where we lost Ramsey?
Oh, it was Oxford.
Oxford, that's it, when we drew 1-1. Apart from that, I think a lot of them have been very complacent results. You know, when you look at it and you see the stats and it's like, well, we're really not creating anything. You know, we're just sitting with the ball because, you know, we're walking away against some of these teams with 70% possession, 600-700 passes, but one shot on target. And for me, that is really not good enough. That's not football for me in the sense of if you're going to be drawing games. And under Enzo, it's again different story because it did work. It worked a lot better playing that style of football. We were winning games and we could have a few shots on target and we would score them. And I think it showed a little bit against Swansea towards the end of that game where we did have a way more attacking threat and we scored again. You know, we seem to be very good at converting both shots on target into goals. So, you know, usually when we have a shot on target, it goes in. So I guess just ramping that up a little bit more and doing a little bit more in that sense. I think, like I said, if we had 10 shots on target against Portsmouth, I don't know why we couldn't be on 4-5 now, and I think we need to have a result like that, to be honest.
Yeah, and so before we get into the teams, I think the last comment I'll say is the fact that a few weeks ago, Cifuentes did come out after the Wrexham game and said that we were arrogant in a way, and I think from that moment onwards, again, then going into the Swansea game, as much as it was tight when it got to 1-1, I think the players felt a bit more aggression in the game and thought we've got to win this now after we conceded the penalty. And I think that I saw a difference since when he said that to going into the game.
I mean, even if you look at the player list we have of the players that are at the club, a lot of them going on a free, a lot of them will probably want to leave Leicester at the end of the season, which is fine. And I know it's a topic for the end of the season, but they're only going to help themselves if they have good seasons, if they play well themselves, if they get us promoted again. You know, players like Jordan James are like, great, hopefully I can get a contract with Leicester and be in the Premier League with them. Players like Winks and that, they'll move on for free. And they'll be like, great, if I have a good season in the Championship, I can move on to Brentford, West Ham, move on to a better club in the Premier League, which is fine because they're probably not going to want to stay with Leicester. We know there's a few bad eggs, but hopefully Cifuentes can get them to pull the finger out their own asses and stop playing with an ego, like you say. Arrogance was an issue, is an issue. It could still be a massive issue. I think it's all well and good, not playing arrogant if you want to turn around and win those games. But I think if you end up losing some of them whilst being arrogant, it's not really the best look, and it's not really going to get the fans on your side.
No, fair enough. We'll get straight into the team, and then obviously starting off with the goalkeeper. There's been a lot of questions around him of recent times because of his small errors. I know there was one big error against Preston, but I wouldn't say he's comfortable in that role, but I still think he's the best we've got until we see otherwise. Because this Cifuentes guy that we got from Real Betis, he came in the window, and I'd say that unless you start playing him maybe in a cup game or whatnot, we're not going to see how good he is until he gets in there. I think he did play in the Europa League final last season for them, from what I remember. But until we know, Stolicic is in goal for me. I don't know if you agree or not, but
yeah, I probably agree. Unless Cifuentes has seen something different in this other keeper you said. I don't think Stolicic has done too wrong. I don't think we're not winning or getting as many points because of him. I think, like I said, it's more the attacking issue that, for me, is hopefully trying to pull itself together a little bit better with some of those players, like Ramsey coming back into that team. But yeah, Stolicic, fine by me.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll go into the back four then. First, left back for you. Obviously, we've got Luke Thomas, who's pretty much been in every single game, if I'm not mistaken. Christensen has come back after injury, and I think maybe now there might be a bit more of a debate on who's there. I know you might not think that, but now he's back in contention, and we've seen this season that maybe Thomas has been a weaker point in the team. Is there a chance that someone else does come in for him?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. I think it'll be one of those things you try when it's maybe not working. Maybe he has an absolute blunder. I don't think Thomas has been awful. I think my only criticism of that side of the pitch, I guess, would say, is he's not had enough support from Reedy or Mongo on the defence. So I'm not really going to criticise him when he's got 2 or 3 men around him, because they're utilising the fact that the winger's not coming back to help the defender. So we're not really conceded too many goals. And I don't know what you classify as too many. I think maybe 1 a game so far, average, maybe a little bit less. I still play Thomas for me. I wouldn't put Christian straight back into it because he's been out for quite a while.
I think the only reason I would maybe go out and say I'd put Christensen in is because of the 3 games we've got in 1 week now coming up. We've obviously got a Saturday game, Tuesday game, and then a Saturday game, which I'd probably say you maybe need to rotate it. Just maybe in midweek you rotate it, because I think obviously after 2 weeks Thomas is going to be fully fit and ready to go. And I would probably agree with you. Luke Thomas for me starts against Portsmouth. But I think maybe midweek versus Hull, I think you maybe change that up and then switch it back. Okay, then we'll move into the right back role. Again, another one where we've seen a few players play in this role now. Chowdhury, Ricardo, who you're picking? Because I think, are we picking our best team, or are we picking the team that I think we should be playing?
Well, I highly imagine we'll probably do some sort of. I mean, I would like Cifuentes to at least play some players towards the end of the Swansea game. When we managed to be way more aggressive, and I think having Pereira at right back for me is probably the best option, because I think he's fairly solid. And he can help in the attack when he needs to. So I'm going to put Pereira as my right back again, because I think we need to be more attacking minded. We need to be more attacking minded than we have been. And I think having Pereira in the midfield doesn't really allow for that too much, because as much as I think he's okay in midfield, I think he's sitting back a bit too much. I think he's had to play too much of a defensive role, rather than having the freedom to be a wing back a little bit more. So I'd rather put him in back and right back and keep his role more simple, simplify it compared to inverted right back to central defensive mid. I think that's overcomplicating it, because you've got to read the game a lot more, and he's a captain as well, so he's got a lot to do in that position. So for me, I'd rather him just be like, if if you're defending, you're right back. If we're attacking, you can push up if you think it's right to do so.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think we all both agree that when he's fully fit, I think he's probably one of the better players in the club. Which again, I would probably go out and say that I think if Ricardo would play more midfield, which obviously I know you say you're not the biggest fan of in a way, I would put him there and put Chowdhury here. But with the new extra addition of players we've got in, I can't do that because we know he won't. He might go from midfield from right back, but right now he won't. So Ricardo Pereira is going into my right back as well. Centre backs then, which again is very highly debatable because we've seen that Faze has made a few errors in the last few weeks. Vestergaard again, I think has been fairly decent overall. And then you've got a choice of a few others that you might want to swap out. Obviously, Cody started the season off and maybe looked a bit shaky, but who are you picking as your two?
I'm not overly convinced. I think both of these players I am going to pick have mistakes in them. I think other players also have mistakes in them. I think Nelson has not really had a chance yet to get into the team. But like I said, I don't think the defence has been a massive issue so far. I think it's more about our attacking threat. I mean, there's been some goals, don't get me wrong, that we have conceded that have been pretty silly. We've done that quite a few times with Vestergaard and Fies making mistakes. I'm going to put Vestergaard and Fies back into the team, but I expect them to both play a somewhat decent game. I expect them both at some point to make a mistake, whether it's a fatal one that causes a goal, who knows, but I do expect them to do something good, do some good defending. I also expect them to do a mistake because that's kind of the nature of how they play. They're good with the ball. They're not very good at defending per se. You know, when it's one-on-ones, and yeah, we've seen it many times. You know, Fies just falls flat on his arse, and Vestergaard's getting outshrugged by a 5'5" winger. You know, and it's a bit pathetic. Really, it's not really defending. It's flamboyant, flimsy. It's not really what I would consider. It's no Hoof and Morgan. I'll tell you that much. It's they're good with their feet, but they ain't got no upper body strength.
No, that's fair enough. And obviously, I think the main reason we've conceded this season is because of mistakes. Then there's no I can't remember going back to a goal where they scored just a very decent quality goal. We've made a mistake in some way for all the goals to go in, and that is down to the odd time of a Vestergaard mistake or a Faye mistake or someone else.
Vestergaard against Swansea for their goal where he just got outshrugged by the winger.
That was Wrexham and Faze was Swansea.
Faze, he just fell flat on his arse, didn't he? It's a little bit embarrassing because again, these are two players that, apart from Vestergaard, Faze definitely wants to go. We know that he wants to go. He ain't really making a case for himself massively. You know, he's not in for player of the season. You know, he's not going to make championship team of the season, is he, so far? So, there's a few ways to look at it, and I think those two are probably the best. Like Vestergaard scored this week. I'm not going to slate him all day because I think he's an all right defender in the Championship, but I think that's about as much as I can say for both of them. They're all right in the Championship.
Yeah, well, I think the one that's dead certain is Vestergaard. I just think in this system and how we play in the Championship, I think he proved it 2 years ago. I think he's proven it still now that he is probably one of the better defenders in the league. But when it comes to Premier League, I just don't think he's anywhere.
I'd say one of the better defenders for us. I wouldn't say in the league.
No, I'm just thinking for the style of play and how he plays for that style in the long passing and whatnot, and this passing ability, I think he is quite decent.
Kind of contradicts what I was saying by saying having Vestergaard and Fies because they're good at passing. I don't want us to play as much that kind of style, but it kind of contradicts it. But we are probably going to play that way.
And
be more aggressive.
This is where I am wanting to start to see a bit of a difference. As much as I know that majority of the time Faze is actually quite alright. I just think that the moment where he switches off or loses concentration, that's where it kills us. So for me, as much as it won't happen, I'm going to go Ben Nelson because I think he needs to get in at some point to try and prove his point and prove that he can get into the team. Because since that Huddersfield game, I don't think he's ever had a shout in the team or even on the bench. So Ben Nelson for me is going to go in there. I don't think it'll happen, but I think we just need some more solidity at the back. And I think that Faze at times is more of an issue than Vestergaard to create issues. So Ben Nelson will be in there. I know it won't happen, but it is the case. We'll move into the midfield then. The two centre mids. I think it's probably light and day, but we're both going to choose the same players here, surely.
I don't know. Jordan James
Yeah.
definitely goes into the team. Again, he's definitely been making a massive impact in the team for us. He's quite vital, very good at creating and scoring chances, as we've seen in the
I might
last
as well
two
put
games.
mine in as well because that's probably one of the first choice ones.
So no complaints of him. He's come in and he's got something to prove, which is what we needed really from a player.
Yeah.
As to the other midfielder, I guess it's probably Winks, isn't it? I guess he's your other central midfielder.
I think if you've got the likes of Simari, Winks, and Skip, I think you're picking Winks, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, you can make a case again. Like I said, be more attacking. If you're going to be more attacking, then put Winks in over Samari and definitely over Skip. So I don't have an issue with those two again. Jordan James definitely proving to be the best midfielder we have at the club at the moment, which puts shame to Winks, Skip, and Samari, all of them on. I mean, they're all probably on about at least 60 grand or heek, and they're getting shown up by a lad who's come on loan. So a little bit embarrassing for those three players, but I'm not fussed. I'd rather have someone that actually wants to be at the club because I don't think I say Skip maybe, but again, he's not quality's not there. But Winks and Samari, I don't think they both want to be here. So I guess you play Winks. I guess that's why I'm a bit temperamental about do you or don't you. If we had another Jordan James-esque player, I'd put him in, but we don't at the moment. So Winks is.
Yeah, fair enough. And again, I agree with you. So I've already put him in. Left wing then, obviously there's been a lot of chat about Mavididi not performing and maybe at times been all right, but it's just not doing what we need him to do. I know Monga, again, is when he's been in, I'm not saying he's been excellent, but I think he's giving you...
He hasn't been excellent.
No, I'm not saying he has. I'm just saying that I think that if you compare them both, I think Monga does give you more, even if it's not amazing. And I think it could be a debate where either one, I don't think people would mind him starting, even if it is Mavididi. But I don't know. I think the excitement side of things with Monga, I think maybe gives a bit more of a impact on the team. But I don't know. Who are you putting in your left wing?
I think there's obviously a lot of hype around Monga. I mean, people are obviously seeing a lot on social media about what he's done academy level. And people saying he's going to go, and he is only 16. I don't know if he's 17 now. I think he's still 16. Playing some decent football, but one trick pony a little bit. He's going to try and take his man on. Don't like the fact that he was diving the other week. I think it was against Swansea. Him and Kranza, to be fair, but I didn't like the fact that he was diving around the place. I don't know, to be honest with you. I think as flashy as Monga is, he's not actually impacting anything in the goal area. So you could make a case for either player if you ask me, and you could say the same for Mavididi. He's not really been impactful, but I'd say Mavididi gets into the right positions. I think Monga's trying too much. I think he's trying to take on too many players, and I think he needs a bit more of a football head. I think he's kind of walking into the team with a lot of confidence, which is fine, but he's certainly not better than some of these players. So he needs, at this age and this level, he needs to, I guess, switch on a little bit more into what's the best decision rather than what can I do that make me look good, rather than what can I do that make the team look good. So I'm going to start Mavididi for that reason, purely because I think against Swansea, Monga was doing some of those things which I felt was a bit independent and wasn't really benefiting the team. Like I said, as flashy as he is and as good as he can be at taking his man on, what did he actually create, in the box, or what did he actually do for himself? Did he shoot really? I don't know. I know he said something about Mavididi, but I think a couple of weeks ago, we were slating him because he didn't have the chance. He missed those big chances, but at least he was in the positions to get those chances, and I've not really seen Monga be in a position to get those chances really yet.
Yeah, well, I'm going to disagree. It's the first time I'm going to disagree this week, and it will be Monga. Not because... Oh, to be honest, I think Mavididi should do well against the likes of... should do well. Oh, he's on here now. He should do well against Portsmouth, Mavididi. He should be doing well against the majority of the teams in this league. It's just he's not doing it at the moment. And to be honest, I don't trust him in the team. Whereas Monga, as much as I know he don't sometimes do amazing, I think I've got more trust in him at the moment to do it. And that's why I'm putting him in. Again, that is literally the only reason. I think both of either one could start and should do well against them. But...
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'd be more than happy to see Monga start, and I wanted him to do well. I think he just needs probably a bit of coaching in first team football. How to be a bit more of a team player. Because I imagine down at academy level, he was probably doing a lot of the stuff himself. He was taking on 5 or 6, and we saw it would take on 4 or 5 players and score a great goal. But it's a different level. You're playing against 30-year-old burly blokes, 6'5" defenders, and 6'6" goalkeepers. It's not the same as your 5'5" centre backs who are only 16 years old. So there's a big difference, the big age gap as well. And I'm not slating him. I definitely think he's going to do something good, or be something good this season for us at the very least, and probably move on to do better things than us. But as of right now, again, I don't know how. It depends on how much coaching gets. For me, he needs a lot of one-on-one coaching with how to do it at this level, because it's different. It's different than academy. So if we can coach him right and he can start to be a bit more of a team player, or even get into those positions a little bit better, finding that empty space, then I think Mongo could be, a real big asset to us this season. But like you said, we've got a few games coming up, so we're going to have to rotate between the 2 players anyway.
Yeah, that is right. Again, even if Mongo starts on Saturday, I'd still be happy to see Mavidi start on Tuesday. I'm not even going to debate the right wing spot. I think it's obvious.
Bobby Reed going in there.
Yeah, Abdul Fatah.
Yeah.
I think we've mentioned it a few times over the last few shows that people have been calling the one-trick pony, but I think that, to be honest, if the one-trick pony works, it works, and we've seen him score.
He's either having a good game or a quiet game. Fatu it's one of the two. I think he looks better with. I said this weeks ago that he's going to look better if he has better players around him. He's going to look better if he has more attackers around him. As much as I've said one-trick pony, it's also in the same vein of he has 3 defenders around him though. But if you can have someone like Jordan James who can distract other players, or if Fatu can distract 3 players and Jordan James can sprint, shoot on the edge of the box and score, like we've seen him do twice now because players are not focused on him, then that's fine by me. Fatu's performance doesn't have to be, again, like I said, Mongo take on the ball. I think that's where Fatu gets stuff right. He knows to draw the space out so players like James and whoever's in cam and striker can get that space. And I think that's what we did really well against Swansea towards the last 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what I'm going to say on him, because I think that he should be there every week at the moment. We're moving to the cam roll then, because Ramsey did come on against Swansea. He didn't start. Bobby Reed started, if I'm not mistaken. He started the last few games, I think. And going into this one now, who is your preferred pick? Because I know we've been talking about, are you maybe dropping in that role?
Yeah.
But maybe he's lost his place at the moment because he's not been in the team the last few weeks.
I don't know. I think from what I saw against Swansea, what I would like to do, this is just me personally, again, you can swap it around at half-time, 60th minute. It's not working. I'd start Ramsey as my attacking mid. I think he's going to want to play well. I think, we can see him do okay as a player. I think he's just obviously had a bit of confidence knocks to get in a straight red, which banned him for 3 games and probably does put him down the pecking order a little bit. But I think start him against Portsmouth, it's home game, evening game. He's going to want to do well. First home game start for the fans. So I think he'd want to do well. And I think, if we brought him in, might as well play him. He's going to offer.
I think he was brought in to do this, to be honest.
Yeah, so I think I would play him. I don't have an issue with Bobby Reed, but I think Ramsey's probably got a bit more creativity to offer you on the pitch. And I like Bobby Reed. I think he's fairly consistent in what he does. But, I think he's probably a bit more of a, like last 20, 30-minute game changer kind of player, a bit like, what's his face, Eric Dyer was, 10 odd years ago, come off the bench and made quite a big impact.
Eric Dyer?
Whatever he's called.
Nathan Dyer,
one of the Dyers.
Eric Dyer is the one who plays for Monaco.
Oh, yeah, that's the old Spurs one, yeah.
There you go.
Nathan Dyer, I think Bobby Reed's more of that kind of player for us.
Yeah, fair enough. See, this is a tricky one. If we had El Canu still, I'd still be picking him, even though he was being a little baby. But I'm stuck because I'm not putting Ayu in that team. I'm sorry. He frustrates the life out of me. Ramsey or Bobby Reed. I think Bobby Reed has probably shown me, has actually proved me wrong in the last few weeks that he actually does okay in that role. But you're right. I think Ramsey should be there. I think we brought him in for that job, and I think that unfortunately the red card did hit him a bit. But I think now, first game back properly at home, I think he, like you said, he should he should be able to prove that he's good enough. And yeah, we'll move on to the striker, and this is again another talking point. We've seen Daka start 2 weeks in a row now. They had an international break. We saw him miss an absolute sitter for Zambia, and now we're back to the championship with 3 strikers who can barely score a goal. So you've got to pick a bunch. Who are you picking?
I guess if I go in order of what I like and don't like, I don't think Daka's a good striker. I don't think he could hit a barn door. I think he's an issue. We've seen that players with like Jeff Schlupp. Well, I don't think. Yeah, keep your comments as well coming in, guys. I just briefed over them quickly there, but we'll get them on screen in a minute after we finished our team, and we can discuss what we've picked after, and we'll have a quick 5-minute chat about that after. So keep your comments coming in. Anyway, back to it. Daka, can't hit a barn door, so he's not starting for me. Carranza, I didn't like what he was doing against Swansea, to be honest with you. I didn't like the fact that he was, making too many weird mistakes. Dived as well. I know some people was fairly 50-50. I know people say the ref got it wrong in that moment. But either way, he did kind of fall. As much as you did get contact, it was kind of a dive still. Even though he got touched, still he fell over. So I think for me it does have to be Ayew again, and I'm not overly it's picking between 3 players who aren't like saying scoring at the moment, so it's hard. Who do you put in that team? But
this pains me to write his name.
But he offers way more than the other 2 do. Can you deny that? Ayew at least offers more than
he offers everything. He offers good stuff out of his position, just not in his position.
Yeah, but Daka doesn't offer anything good in his position.
I think he offers more,
but he hasn't though.
Aggressively wise, then.
But he hasn't though. You might say you think he does, but
off the ball and what he does, like in possession of it, I think he does well. I just don't think he's a good scorer.
He doesn't do anything off the ball. He just runs around like headless pitch. Anyone could do that. Anyone could run around the pitch and try and chase the ball down.
I don't know. I think we've looked better in the last few games than we did with Ayew in the team.
Did Daka come off when we scored 2 goals against Swansea?
No, he played the whole game. I think
the whole game.
Near enough until Carranza came on.
Yeah, so I
think we scored all the goals before he came off.
I mean, I don't know. Personally, for me, I think we needed a new striker anyway, and
we've got Carranza, mate.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I mean, maybe make a case for Carranza because we're not really seeing too much of him. I guess I'm just picking Ayew because at least he'll give you something, and I'm not saying it's much attacking threat from him, but he'll give you something. And I know you're about to put Daka in there probably, which is fine. But again, let me know when he scores because I think his football career is going to be over. I think I've got more chance of becoming a footballer before he scores again for us. You've just got a hat-trick now on Saturday.
Probably. I'm not putting him because he's going to score a goal. I'm doing it because of the stuff that I see him do off the ball.
Yeah, but then why not Ayew then?
Because I don't think Ayew does anything that
but he does, though.
He doesn't do anyway.
But Daka does nothing. Daka literally.
Yeah, but that's your opinion. No, I think Ayew does well, but after his role, we need somebody in his role that can do that.
But Daka doesn't do anything in his role.
I'm not gonna argue because I know that people are gonna say that.
I agree that Ayew isn't the most prolific striker. I agree that he's not been as attacking minded, and they probably have been told to play that way, by the way. But when Daka's up there, he literally offers you nothing. He doesn't really give you any big chances. And when he does get the occasional blue moon chance, he ain't going to score it.
He can't assist him all week.
Yeah, and that was a nice build-up play. Don't get me wrong, that was nice. But Ayew could have made the passes that Daka was making. That was just some nice football when he happened to be in the right position at the right time.
I'll give you that.
That's once in 50 games I've seen him do something. The last time I remember him doing something was West Ham last season in the Premier League, and we're talking probably about a year ago now. That's when he did it.
Yeah. No, again, this could be anyone. This could be Carranza.
It literally could be anyone, and
I don't think anyone's got any right to be in there at the moment. So
no, I mean that's why you could probably make a case. Well, just shove someone like Jake Evans up there. Then. Just play one of the youngsters then, if none of the others are going to earn the spot.
We'll get a few comments in now. We've done the teams. Callum says Ben Nelson at centre back. He said that's better. Does that mean that he wants Ben Nelson in the team? I don't know.
Not sure.
David Fallows says, afternoon guys, same team for me except Ramsey for Reed, maybe Carranza. I like the balance of Daka. I think that's what I was talking about Daka. He's saying that the balance with him up front is better than when Ives in the team because I think you have less balance up front because he's not in the attack. He's always behind the attack in a way.
I get it. I understand that.
Where he's up there.
Yeah, I get it. But Ayu's been told to play that way. For me, if Ayu was told to play as a striker rather than a false nine, which he has been playing,
but surely you'd need to have your Ayu up front.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But is Daka doing what Ayu should be, but Ayu's not fast enough to do the case.
To me, it's two different roles.
Because Daka's fast enough to get back up quicker.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, we know he's got pace, which he can get up the pitch all right. But again, it's fine tuning what we can out of these players, and I don't think, for me personally, if you're playing a striker, especially in this system, I play someone up top consistently, and that's fine. For me, we've done it with Daka. We let him play up top fairly consistently. He's not coming back into the midfield to help. He's just pretty much sat on the halfway line waiting for someone to give him a through ball, which we know is not going to happen. And then when he does get the occasional chance in a game, he doesn't really do that much with it, personally. And I think a lot of people would agree with, just from literally what we've seen him do on a pitch. Ayu, for me, when I see him play as a striker, which I know isn't very often, but because again he's been told to play like this, been told to come back and play as a false nine, and if he likes to do that, it's fine as well. He wins free kicks. That's what he's been told to play as. For me, if you play Ayu as a striker, more in the Daka role, and I'm not saying he has to run around at 100 miles an hour like a headless chicken, because I think that's pointless anyway. If you're going to pressure a team, you do it as a unit rather than just one player running around. Because as much as Daka might be able to put his burners on and chase three players, the ball's going to move faster than any player, so there's no point in doing that. So for me, I would play Ayu, but I would play him not as a false nine, just play him as a striker, put him in there, someone who can header the ball, someone that can
I think if he did do that, I think I'd say fair enough, but this is why I'm thinking maybe he's not been told. Because every time he plays, he does the same thing, but when it comes to Daka, he doesn't do that.
But he would have stopped doing it because he's been doing it all season. So I know he's played enough games so far. So he's probably, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 starts this season so far. So he's clearly been told to play that way. Otherwise, 3 games in, Cifuentes would have said, stop playing false nine.
Yeah, but does he change his system up when Daka comes into the game?
Yes, he does. He plays Daka as a striker, someone who knows got pace. And Ayu definitely doesn't have the pace that Daka does, but he can shoot. At least he knows how to find the space. And I don't know. I mean, I'd happily start Daka against Portsmouth, and I'd hope he proved me wrong. I don't think he would, because I think he would have proved me wrong.
Hey, I'm not expecting him to score. I'm just expecting him to do what David Fallows is saying again, in the fact that Ayu suffocates in midfield. At least Daka stays on the defender's shoulders and opens the game up. And that's where
the game though.
I think the last few games you've seen a better attacking wise. Then it's like for Tari, the last few games we've seen that he's been covered up by 2 or 3 players. But when you've got that striker up there, who actually will stay up there, that he brings a player out to mark him. Whereas Ayu, and if he's not up there, then
I get that, but I don't think he does open up the game too much. I think people know that Fatu's the threat in that team, or Monga, or Malvididi, not so much. But I think that they know who the threat is. Again, I don't know how teams think, but if it was me and I saw Daka on a team sheet with Fatu, Monga, Ramsey there, I'd be like, listen, Daka's the weak link. You know, he's having a rubbish time at Leicester. He's had 4 awful seasons with us, done nothing at his time with us.
I'd say 3 awful seasons.
Well, what did he do in his first season?
Was that the year he got 4 goals?
So he got 1 set of 4 goals, and that means a good season.
Yeah, but it was a decent.
He had 1 good game. I'll give you that. That is about the only good game I think he's ever had for us in 4 years. Talk about gaslighting a player. Jesus Christ. 1 good game in 4 years.
That's where we're going to. I'm going to actually have a look and see what stats he had in the first season. Because I think he had more than just 4 goals, but
he would have. It's not many. I don't
think. This is where we'll finish. Obviously, a quick look at the last 2 teams. That one's mine, and that one's yours. I think the only difference is the striker and the winger.
Yeah, which you can make a case for in any way. Like I say, I'm not trying to slate Daka too much, but I've seen enough of him as a player to know that he can't do it at this level. He can't do it in the Championship. He can't do it in the Premier League.
Can't do it against. Zambia. Yeah, I was going to say can't do it for Zambia.
So you know, I confidence. Where I don't know what everyone will say. At the end of the day, he's earning his 80 grand a week, and he's going to be happy dandy, isn't he?
Yeah,
you know,
fair
really,
enough.
So,
score prediction this weekend.
Like I said, I think if we play more aggressive with that team, including our.
I think with either one of our teams, we should be beating them.
Yeah, we should. That's the key word again. But we would have said that against Oxford, even though we had a red card. There's a few of the games that we've drawn. I can't remember the teams we played. What, Charlton? Did we drew them or did we beat them?
Beat them.
So I can't remember exactly. The games are just coming thick and fast.
West Brom, Coventry.
Coventry drew. Yeah, there are a couple of teams that you should really be probably wanting a bit more. And I think it's more the fact that we didn't even draw whilst playing like amazing attacking football. That's my biggest issue. I want us to actually be more attacking. Like in that last 10-15 minute stint against Swansea, we've done more in that 10 minutes attacking wise than we have done in the previous 6 games, probably. Literally, I'm not even saying that it's like hypothetically. I mean, probably if you look at stats, we probably had more shots and more shots on target in the last 50 minutes against Swansea than we had done in the previous 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like us to play that kind of attitude. Score prediction, if we play like that, I think we could be in 4-5-0. Because I think we could have done it against Swansea. I think we could do it against most teams in this league, beat them 3 or 4-0 if you just play some better attacking football, more aggressive, be more prominent, and not stop with too much passing around the back. I still think we do it too much. You're giving players like Fires and Vestergaard the balls just to shift it around the back, and it doesn't actually do anything for you. It doesn't win your games playing that way. Can retain the lead maybe, but we know we make mistakes. I don't know. I'll go 4-0 on the prospect that we play attacking football. I think we're due for a game like that now.
Well, yeah, perfect game would be Portsmouth at home, who've just been promoted.
Yeah.
Saturday night, I think there's every chance you could get a bigger scoreline. I think that's what you need as well, like you said. I'll go for 3-0. I think I was about to say 3-1, but I think we actually might get a clean sheet at home on Saturday. So there we go, guys. Obviously, again, one more time, there's your Sam's team and there's my team. Comment down below who you think team is better for the game on Saturday. We'll be back tonight for the Fox's Focus show and then the Aftermath show on Sunday, which I will be on time for this week in the morning of the game for post-match. And then obviously Phil's show on Monday. Appreciate everyone coming on, and we'll see you all on the next show.
Yeah.
See you later, guys.